Hey everybody, it's Karyn Bryant welcoming you to the MMA Heat podcast with my good friend
Pete coming.
Yes, folks, that is the high old guy. He's shaved up, he's clean cut and everything. Looking good, Pete.
Young hot guy.
Yeah,
Young hot
yeah.
guy. Come
Slow
on.
down. No, you look good. You look good. So, folks, we have to do things a little bit differently this week. As you can see, Pete is on a very fancy, highfalutin vacation back east. He's at a vodka gimlet. What is that?
This is a vodka martini, Karyn.
Martini. Okay.
Extra dry on the
Nice.
rocks.
So Pete is in. You're in the vineyard right now, right?
I'm in the whitest place on earth, Karyn.
Nice. Great. And I am in Los Angeles, not the whitest place on earth. I just got back from Vegas, so we're not going to be doing the 5-round format like we usually do because there's so much to talk about after UFC 189 and the Ultimate Fighter finale and International Fight Week that we thought we might just probably need some more time. And so, since we don't have Pete next to me here, we figured we would skip the rounds. You're cool with that, right, Pete?
I'm a little hurt, Karyn. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I could have done it via satellite, but
do you think so?
Listen, it's really I'm really just your assistant.
But it would have been like a 20-round show because there's too much to talk about. So I figured, what the heck?
It was too good. It was too good a weekend of fights.
Right. So yeah, I do want to hear. I know you were concerned at first that you might be traveling when UFC 189 happened. How did you watch the fight? When were you able to actually see it happen?
So I actually got to see the fights live.
Yeah.
I did the pay-per-view.
Nice.
I'm a guest in this house, and I didn't bother to tell anyone that the pay-per-view was going to cost them $50 because I'll be out of here before that bill comes in. But then it's like really annoying. We have somebody else's cable because then I tried to record the prelims, but I ended up recording it on like the Fox Latino channel, and
Fox Deportes.
it's like not really Joe Rogan,
Yeah, different calling, but same fights. Well, I'm glad you got to see it in real life. Obviously, we were out there, MMA Heat. We were there. I did UFC Tonight on Wednesday with Fox, and the rest of the time we were there covering for MMA Heat. So I was in the building. It was pretty spectacular, and I mean, there's so much to talk about, but obviously we first need to just start talking about Conor McGregor, who is our new interim champ. And before we get too far along, I want to just make sure for the record that people understand that in my world, you can be a fan of Jose Aldo and respect his gifts, and you can also respect Conor McGregor's gifts.
No, choose your side, Karyn.
There's no...
You either like Brazil or you like Ireland, okay?
There's no absolutes, and it's funny because, obviously, some fans are so hardline about one guy or the other, but Jose Aldo has been such an incredible champion, and anytime anybody asks me who are one of my favorite fighters to watch, Jose has always been on my list. So let me just say that I think Aldo is spectacular, and the whole time we were there this night, we were thinking, good for Chad and props to Chad, but my goodness, like if this could have been Jose here tonight, it would have been amazing. That being said, I thought Conor looked great. He answered his wrestling question. Chad took him down hard a couple times, and Conor was able to stay calm and survive it. And I'm happy. I guess is happy the right word. It's interesting that he got the belt. He's the interim champion and did what he said he was going to do. So in that respect, I think it's pretty spectacular.
But here's the question: did he answer the wrestling question? Chad, on 2 weeks' notice, he had Conor. He almost had him in that second round.
Yeah. For sure.
And first of all, like all the credit to Chad Mendes.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks' notice. He fought like a champ too.
Yeah.
It was great to see. But when Conor was on his back, he didn't have too many answers. And he did get out of it, but. I think that question is still out there. So.
Well, you could argue that he had just enough answers. He started elbowing. What was interesting was when Chad had him in a certain position, would sort of time it out, posture up, drop an elbow, get back down, catch his breath, posture up, drop the elbows. I guess what I'm thinking is I didn't feel like I saw Conor panicking. You know what I mean? Obviously, I think there was a certain sense of I'll get that later. Of him wondering, like, all right, let me back up. At the weigh-ins.
Get that out?
No, I want to back up a little bit because I do think going into this fight that Conor was nervous. I will give you that. And I feel like, I was at the weigh-ins. We filmed it. It was insane. The biggest weigh-ins that have ever happened for the UFC. The most fans. Literally, the fire marshal had to shut this down. It was absolutely incredible. The sound of the Irish chanting in there was incredible. They had some of the most hilarious signs up. They would have signs with the Irish flag, and it would have Liam Neeson from Taken, and it was like Jose, and he's on the phone. He's like, "I will find you. I will hunt you down, and I will kill you." There was all these things hilarious like that. So I'm like literally just 3 rows deep at the weigh-ins. And, obviously it's hard to make 145 pounds. Connor doesn't love it and has talked about going up in weight. So to me, his face did look a little not great. And he did look a little pasty, more so than a normal Irishman. And I
Karyn.
I'm just saying he didn't look there. There's other times where I thought
racial slur coming out of your mouth. I should have said the pasty comment.
No.
Okay?
I'm part Scottish. I can say something. There was something in his face that you could see. There might have just been the tiniest little bit of like, uh-oh. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Staring across from Chad.
What, self-doubt? Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, you're very familiar.
I think I'm swimming in it, Karyn.
You're very familiar with self-doubt. So do I think that there were times when he was on his back that probably he was thinking, oh no, that different things were going through his mind. But, I asked him about that afterwards in the press conference, and, he actually wasn't full of bluster in the press conference. So we have the whole entire thing, and then we've also isolated just Connor if you want to find that on our channel. But to me, he actually was quite pensive, and he was very honest about how overwhelmed he was by this whole moment and everything that had happened. But he did say that, Chad's a good wrestler, and he took him down and everything. But he said, I tried to be the most economical fighter out there in terms of economy of movement. So maybe that's why he didn't look like he was fighting back as hard as he could. Maybe he was just trying to time it out. I'm not sure. But you thought it was close. Well, Chad was doing really well.
And you bring up a good point, though. When he was on his back, he did look calm.
Right.
I mean, a couple times he's talking to Herb Dean. Was it Herb Dean who was basically asking him to stand him up, and which was a little much.
But you could tell Chad was just trying to catch his breath for some of that too. He was getting winded.
Here's the amazing thing about Connor is the pressure he put on himself. Yeah. And then he came out and delivered. And I think you saw all his emotions as soon as the fight ended. I mean, the emotions just came out. And I mean, to live your life by heaping that pressure on your shoulders and then delivering. I mean, that's something that like the rest of us can just stand on the sidelines and go, whoa. I mean, so, it was just amazing. The whole card was amazing.
It was, and that that's the thing that he was saying after at the press conference. He said how long he's been dealing with the media and hyping this up, and there's been so much buildup. He's only been home to Ireland for 19 days this year or something. He spent all this time in Vegas, and he said that after he won. He was looking around and he sees his coach in the cage and this and that, and like all of a sudden, like the enormity of what he just accomplished did hit him, and so that's why he said, he started to cry and it hit him. And while I do believe he's an incredibly confident person who has a lot of belief in himself, yes, to actually achieve that, when you're like, holy crap, like I actually did it. I mean, I thought it was a really great performance by him. He did definitely lose the first round on all the cards. If you look at the judges' cards, he lost the first round to Chad. Some people like to, now jump in and say it's a conspiracy theory and that the fight was stopped, that Herb jumped in because there was only 3 seconds left in round 2. But afterwards, even at the press conference, Chad's like, no. He's like, when you curl up and you can't do anything more,
It's interesting, though, because, listen, Chad wasn't fighting back. He was covering up, but he was covered up. I mean, he was. Yeah. He was. He's
defending. Yeah.
He was blocking everything. But I don't think a ref's supposed to be looking at the clock. So it doesn't matter whether it was 3 seconds or 3 minutes. A ref's not supposed to judge his decision based on the clock. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. You had a fighter who wasn't fighting back, but he was blocking the punches. But I think if Chad said, I'm not going to argue with it, then, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, usually when the fighter's cool with it. And the other thing, too, listen, if he did make it out of the round, Okay, so maybe that one then go. I mean, Conor was in a bad position a lot. You see what the judges saw, but the next round starts on your feet, and Conor was so clearly winning the striking game. You know what I mean? That I feel like, and you could see Chad's energy meter going down because he didn't have a full camp. So he could have just been postponing the inevitable. It may have been just a postponement of the inevitable if it went to a third round. Do you know what I'm saying?
I gotta say, as much as and I'm a huge Conor fan,
Yeah.
and yeah, like of course he's got self-doubt. I mean, Muhammad Ali, used to admit to like the huge fear before the
Mm-hmm.
fights, and that's not, a champion isn't a guy who doesn't have fear. A
Right.
champion is a guy who can control his fear. But I gotta tell you, I became a huge Chad Mendes
Good.
fan too.
Yeah.
I mean, on short notice, and I
Yeah.
mean, he took Conor down hard a couple
Hard.
times.
Hard.
And he landed a couple shots on his feet,
Yeah.
and Connor's just a beast on his
Yeah.
feet.
He
So
is.
I don't know, props to Chad Mendes.
Yeah.
I like, this is going to be a nice little, Frankie Edgar
Right,
kind of,
Joe
it's going to be a
Bate.
fun little, that's going to be a fun little group to watch.
It is for sure. And the thing about it too is, I feel like where some of the self-doubt could have come in for Conor, and I asked him after the press conference because there were a lot of rumors swirling before this fight. People were talking about his knee. In the past he's already had surgery on a knee. People have talked about knee problems and various injuries, and how fit he actually was to fight. So I asked him about it in the press conference, and again, like I said, we have all this up, and he wouldn't admit to anything specific. But he did say basically that he had prepared for this fight in the physical therapist's office, and that he has more wrong with him than he cared to articulate, but that he wanted to make sure he showed up for the fight. And in that respect, he didn't really spend a lot of time talking about Jose, but he did say, there was no way I was not going to show up. But he did say, yeah. I got some issues going on right now, in terms of my health. So if there was any doubt to him, I feel like it would have been based on injury. Do you know what I mean? And
Now,
wondering if it's going to hold up.
Are these specific injuries, or are these just nagging
I think
long term?
there is a knee issue and other things. But like I said, he didn't say specifically what was wrong, but he did say that he prepared for this camp in the physical therapist's office. So take that for what you will. That usually means you've got some things that you're dealing with. So anyway, good for him, good for Chad. And then of course now we know that he's gonna coach the Ultimate Fighter. You heard this, right? Or maybe you're on vacation in
No, Karyn, I've just been drinking and sailing and
you are.
figuring out how we can take back America.
Flipping through the LL Bean catalog, running down to get more Madras and seersucker from Eddie Bauer. So yeah, they announced Sunday night that Conor and Uriah Faber are going to coach the Ultimate Fighter in a Europe versus USA format. And literally that's going to start shooting quite soon. They were going to start bringing some of the fighters into Vegas. And this is what's interesting. Before the fight on Saturday, some people don't think it's real. Some people think, again, it's some pro wrestling thing. There was an altercation between Conor and Uriah backstage. And we actually talked to Wade, and I ran into Uriah after and talked to him. According to Uriah, he's backstage, and there was these two little private bathrooms, like one for women, one for men, and there were sort of single stall things or whatever. So he said that the men's one was being used. So he asked the security guard, "Hey, I need to use the bathroom like this. I'm just gonna run in the women's one. Can you just watch the door to make sure nobody comes in?" So Uriah goes in the bathroom, and then like right away he's just like bang, bang, bang on the door. And he's like, "Oh man, come on! I just asked you to watch the door." So he says he comes out, and there's Conor. And now Fox had actually filmed this, so he said then there's Conor. And he's there, and they kind of like, ha, and Conor kind of pats him on the head, and then Uriah sort of taps him on the side, and then he's like, all of a sudden, then Conor went in for the arm drag, and then sort of flips him around, and then it was like, wait a minute, so they started to kind of maybe scuffle for real. Nothing huge, but there was a little bit of something that was like, did that just turn from friendly to not friendly? And then we find out the next day that they're going to be coaching against each other. But the interesting thing was when we saw Uriah at backstage, outside the MGM before this was all announced, he was on the phone and he's like, oh yeah, we were talking about some stuff, and he told us what happened with Conor, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to work out a couple things, and I said something about his next fight, and he's like, actually, yeah, I might be in Vegas for a while. We're like, oh. Cut to the next day when this whole thing was announced. So it may have actually come together because of that. It may have been brewing before and that was scripted. I'm sure would have an opinion.
Is we're going to see that little clip in the promos about 8,000 times. There's bad blood between.
You think it's WWE?
Okay. You know what? We're going to get into the Ultimate Fighter when we get into it, but I got a few things to say. Karyn.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
All right, well, let's talk about some other things about UFC 189 then. Robbie Lawler is, dude, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, when the zombie apocalypse comes, I got Robbie down. You're like captain right here.
I told, so I was at a bar watching a couple months ago, and I said to the guys, and I don't know what fight we were watching, but I'm like, all right, listen, you get, it was something like you get a baseball bat and you're allowed to hit the guy once.
Right.
But then it's on.
Right.
Do you do it? And like guys like, no, I don't think so.
Right.
And it's like, Robbie Lawler, no, if you told me I had a baseball bat and I was allowed to crack him once in the head and then it goes, no way.
I would drop it and run.
I'd be like, so what a beast.
He's incredible. Well, so here's the thing. Going into the 5th round, on the scorecards, Rory McDonald was actually up 3-1 on the scorecards. Did you see it that way?
Well, I gave the first round to the ref for not falling asleep.
Yeah.
That was
there was
great weekend of fights, except for that one first round. And first of all, I love when they're like, he's really showing them respect. I mean, that's like a euphemism for this round is fucking going nowhere.
But you're getting your timing down, and it's tricky, and they both know they're dangerous. But yes, the first round was not.
So I don't know how you give the first round.
So a lot of time, if it's even like that, you would give it to the champ. Some people would say.
But they clearly, because they clearly didn't give it to the champ.
Right. So I remember him sitting out there.
Definitely goes to Robbie.
Right, and I'm sitting there, and there's a little this, a little that, but nothing. Then things start heating up, So then Robbie starts turning it up. But at the end of round 3, like Robbie's almost out. So Rory's got him against the cage, and he's teeing off, and he's just going, and Robbie's stumbling at different times and wobbled and this and that. I'm like, oh my God, and we've got a new champion. I thought, I thought Rory was actually going to pull it off, and he's so good, and he's talked about how this was sort of what the mantle he was supposed to inherit after GSP and everything. And I thought, oh my God, he's actually pulling it off. So the bell rings, which saves both these guys. Well, saves Robbie, I suppose. Gives him a little bit of a respite. We come back at it. Another great round. I mean, it's just a fantastic fight back and forth. But then finally, it just added up too much. I mean, when you see Rory crumple like that, and the blood everywhere, the jacked up nose, Robbie's lip after. Dana was talking about this after, like how the one second, because there was such a big cut that when he was talking, like this part was flapping when he was talking, and then this was moving independently, that there was just this huge, but that finish was ridiculous.
I was like, so I'm watching this at my parents' house, and I got my kids around, and I'm like going to be embarrassed if somebody walks in, because like, unless you know the UFC, if somebody first walks in and watches you watching that, you're like, yeah, I'm watching two guys kill each other in a ring. And then I'm going to talk about it with Bryant afterwards.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's like, no, you don't understand the nuances.
Yeah, really.
Like two guys just dripping with blood going at each other.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm pretty much a heathen. Pour me another drink.
So you had your kids watching?
No, I didn't. I sequestered myself.
Oh, okay.
But I felt like I was watching like porn. I was like, like I was so afraid someone's going to walk in, because I wouldn't know how to explain why I was getting so much enjoyment out of watching two guys who were like clearly on death's door go at it.
Well, because in the end, it's interesting. Some people were saying, oh my God, this is like the greatest, title fight ever. The first couple rounds weren't, though. That's the thing. We had 2.5 great rounds. 3, 4, and 5 were amazing. Let's remember the beginning of the fight wasn't as amazing. But that being said, the action that we did saw when they did fully commit to trading off was just beyond. I mean, just ridiculously good. And I feel like, Pete, you could have told them it was history you were watching. That's what you were watching. You were watching history.
Yes.
You were watching
Jeffrey Dahmer's history also.
No.
History.
No. But it was incredible. And afterwards, Robbie had some great quotes like about how he came and that last punch was just like a culmination of a beatdown. And he's like, I'm the best in the world. And you know what I mean? Dude, that was quite a statement.
His hands are huge. They look like Flintstone cartoon hands.
Animals.
Fist, and then like this granite head, and you're like, I never want to get on your bad side.
No, he's amazing.
And it's going to be interesting to see how Rory comes back from this because this is going to be a big test because first of all, he put up a great fight. And the amazing thing is, like, Rory improved so much from their first fight, and that just shows you how much Robbie improved too. Right. I mean, it was, but really amazing thing is, like, this ended how I think every fight should end, and how any fight with me would end. It ended with a guy going like, "No, that hurt too much." I mean, that's totally. Basically how any fight with me would. Ow, okay,
ow. Stop.
I mean, I was like, oh my God, he's actually stopping just because it hurts.
Just because he can't, his body just was like, nope.
I don't blame him at all. I'm just surprised everyone doesn't stop that.
It's a wrap. Thank you, everybody. The thing is, too, supposedly this is something Dana said after, which doesn't necessarily speak to, or actually speaks to your parents' concerns about you watching this, I suppose. But he said when they asked Rory backstage what year it was, he didn't know. That's not good. So yeah, this will be some lingering damage. This is the kind of thing like hopefully, I don't know that Junior Dos Santos was ever the same after those beatdowns he got from Kane. Hopefully since Rory is younger, he can recover better and be okay. At the end of the day, I guess maybe it's a nose and it's some head trauma. But the thing about what you were saying about how Rory looks so much better, it's actually, yes, obviously he's been improving, but he did admit to my friend Spencer Kite, who is a writer for a Canadian paper, who's followed Rory along for this whole camp, and he said that Rory admitted to him that he hadn't really been that focused for the last couple of fights, like for Tyron and for Jake. I don't want to put the words phoning it in, but he admitted that he wasn't that committed to the fights and that he didn't really care that much. If you remember with Jake, it was just a jab fest. Didn't really put forth a lot of effort. So he said his head really wasn't that motivated and he wasn't that into those fights. But this time he was, and as we saw, he looked amazing. So I think that's part of it too, was that everything, he rose to the occasion for the right guy.
I was just a little bit disappointed in, like, Rory's got these great, like, front kicks, like he looks like an angry pelican or flamingo, like, and these things just shoot straight out and they're long.
Right.
And like, why he wasn't using more of that against, a shorter guy who's pretty much all fists.
Right.
And I kept saying, like, use the front little.
Well, yeah, because it gives you range. It takes their wind out, but.
And it's something he does so well. That thing just smacks up, and it's like an angry flamingo,
Yeah. Well, I also read it.
I'm sure there's a more technical term.
Angry flamingo. He's using the angry flamingo. I'm going to use that the next. It's the angry flamingo. Because we all know flamingos' legs are just so ridiculously strong and flamingo leg. Yeah, totally. So I actually had run into Dan Lambert before the fight too, who is the owner of American Top Team, and we'll talk about him with the Ultimate Fighter finale as well. But we were talking about Robbie, and I said, hey, look, how's the champ look? I think he's such an incredible fighter. He said, oh my God, he's so on point right now, because I had to do an interview with him on Wednesday, and he looked really, really lean to me, and I just thought, man, Robbie is just, this is go time. Like, this dude is not playing around. And he said, oh my God, he said Robbie came in so focused and he was so close to his weight. He said they went out on Monday to a Brazilian steakhouse and chowed down. Like the dude was not worried about his weight at all. But that Dan said, yeah, with a guy like Rory, though, he's a very difficult fighter to look good against. And so maybe that's what's behind those first 2 rounds where you're really trying to get your bearings because he is difficult to figure out. But fantastic fight. Robbie's the man. The man. He just, well, he's got that gladiator tattoo on his stomach. He should just put the man. He needs the man somewhere. I'm the man. Love him.
I'm such a huge Rory fan too, and it's like, I just really hope that. Listen, if he was phoning in, if he admitted to phoning in a couple fights, maybe this is the thing that, that kicks him in the ass. But I hope it is. I hope it's not the thing that puts that fear that you didn't have before because you were so young, and now you've got it. That fear of like, I don't want the nose to hurt that much.
Yeah. Oh.
That was like a Jan Brady.
It was no. It's Marcia. Oh, my nose. Somebody made a gym of that.
That's right,
too.
Marcia. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, my nose. That's what you get for dumping one guy to go with the one you really wanted to. Isn't that the whole setup on that one? She wanted to go to the dance with one guy, and this other boy asked her, and so she said she lied and then got busted, and then her nose broke, so she couldn't go with the hot guy anyway. I'm pretty sure that's the scenario.
We have just so dated ourselves, by the way.
I've seen it on replays.
Nick at Night, because
it's a new show,
my
right?
uncle had told me to watch it.
I saw the Brady Bunch movie. I think they replayed it. So anyway, moving down the card a little bit, Jeremy Stephens and Dennis Bermudez. Now this was another barn burner. And as this fight was going on, I was like, oh, this has got to be fight of the night. This fight is ridiculous.
Every fight I said that in card, I'm like, this
fight's ridiculous. And I thought it was gonna be fight of the night. And again, there was kind of a jinx going through the night that people that were leading on cards ended up losing the fight because Dennis was ahead on the cards. Until he absolutely wasn't. And we're done. I thought that was a great fight, and Dennis looked so good, and he was trying to get back on his winning track, and he had a really long, I believe it was a 7-fight win streak before, and then he lost a fight, and he's so focused. We talked to him before at the media day, and such a good guy, and was ready to go, and Jeremy Stephens is definitely so dangerous, but that fight was just so good, back and forth, oh my God. But then that knee, my God, come on.
It was the night of the knee.
It was the night of the knee.
He's going in for a takedown. Just time so perfect. First of all, were you ringside?
I was. I was actually on the two rows up, just right off the floor. So it was actually great. So it's like eye level, right in front of me.
Could you hear those knees?
You can hear them, and for the TUF finale, I was just 3 rows away, cage side, and let me tell you, there was we'll get into the Wonder Boy thing, but I was like, oh my God, I think I just forgot my own name when that happened. But anyway, yes, you can hear those things, and it just, you could just see it just like resets their brains, and they're like can't handle it. Jeremy Stephens, and the thing is though, he didn't make weight, which is a little bit disappointing. So in his defeat, at least Dennis got some of his money. He got some of Jeremy Stephens, 20% of his. I don't know if that'll make him feel any better, but that was a heck of a fight.
Yeah, that second round was one of the best rounds that I've seen. I mean, you didn't even know. You're like, he's winning. No, he's winning. No, he's winning. He's winning.
He's winning.
I mean. Again, it's just that was the best fight card that I've seen.
It really was, because right before that, we had Gunny Nelson finishing off Brandon Thatch with a submission. And, Gunny is so funny. He's one of Connor's teammates. And they really sort of make fun of him for being completely, like, stone-faced. And, he really is not a lot of expression. He's Icelandic, and he's just very stoic. But afterwards at the press conference, he was talking. I think he said, yes, I'm very happy about the win. You know what I mean? And everybody, and it was funny because right before Dana had talked about personalities and sort of like the Connor effect or something like that, and he was talking about how everybody's got their own personality and somebody could be totally magnetic, but there's always something to sell, and then Gunny gets on the mic and says something, and Dana's like, see? That's his thing. That's his angle. That's his charm. He's the guy
with no personality.
Right. But he is so good. I mean, and that's the thing. He's got the jits. And tough luck for Brandon. Coming off that loss to Benson Henderson. I think Brandon is good. I think he is good, and I think he is talented. But Gunny had his number.
Yeah, that was he like once he got him down,
Yeah.
he was like a crab in heat. Like he was like side control back.
Right.
I mean, he was gonna screw that other
Right.
crab one way or
Right.
another.
Right. Right.
He was finding an opening. I was like, I
Nice.
don't. What am I watching? Oh my
Right.
God, my
Right.
kid's gonna come in again. How do I
Oh
describe that one to him?
yeah. It's two men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
I know it looks bad.
I know it looks bad, but this is really, actually, really, really technically great. Well, before that, again, we saw again, ridiculous knee. Like Brad Pickett, again, was winning on the cards. If I remember correctly, he was winning on his cards, on the scorecards, right till he's not. Again, the knee. Yeah, good Lord. That one I was still in the media room. And, media, we're not usually supposed to react. And, when we're sitting out in the arena, especially, you just have to sit there and, we don't cheer for anything. And we're just supposed to take it all in or whatever. But in the media room, every now and then we show a little bit more emotion. And everybody was just like, damn. It was the thing from Friday with Ice-T and Chris. Like, damn. I mean, it was just... that was crazy. I mean, and Pickett is such a fun fighter to watch. He's always up for a scrap. But he's hot right now, and that was just like, again, that perfectly timed thing. Just devastating.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, and you said it too, like Alameda's. I mean, first of all, he came in 19-0 as a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I was 23. Like, I mean, what could I don't know.
I know. What did you do?
I could party well.
Like,
maybe
I got good grades.
Drinking.
Yeah.
So like he's 19-0
Yeah.
coming in, and then he gets severely tested, and like after that first round, he's like busted up, and he's walking back to his corner smiling, and he gives like a little like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude. Maybe I need to show you how to have a good time because
Yeah, right.
what just happened to you,
It's not fun.
you shouldn't be smiling. And
Not fun.
just he's gonna be something. I mean, talk about a guy who answered a question.
Right.
What's gonna happen when he gets tested? Well, when he gets tested, he's gonna put a knee in the other guy.
Put a knee in his face. Yeah, and again, that's one of those fights too that you want to show people who are like, those lighter weight classes, man, they're like totally boring. I don't want to watch those little guys. I don't want to watch those little guys. That was like, those people.
Yeah.
That was great, and actually leading right into that, the featured prelim, Matt Brown, like so glad to have Matt Brown back.
Nice to see him back with a win.
He's such a warrior, and we talked to him before the fight at Media Day, and we were talking about kind of that idea of like being demoted to the prelims. This is a main event guy and lost a couple fights. No shame in losing to Johnny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler, but he wasn't happy about it and needed to. He said he cut out a lot of things in his life that were extraneous, and he really refocused and everything, and put on a great performance, obviously. And I asked him about that afterwards in the press conference too, and he's like, that's exactly what, the kind of fight that I wanted to do, and to prove that I'm making my way back up to a title run. And he's just so fun. Those standing elbows, that's my thing with him. I love those. They're vicious, man. I love that. He's cool, man. I think Matt Brown is just a really exciting fighter. And I thought that some of those losses might have been due to him fighting so much, so frequently, and he kind of was like, no, that wasn't why. It wasn't for the shortness of time, between them. He's like, it wasn't that. That wasn't it. His body. He said it wasn't because his body was, beat up and not ready. It's just things he guessed wasn't as focused as he should have been. So.
Well, and that, and he fought, Robbie Lawler.
And that's what I'm saying. I was like, but you fought Robbie Lawler. And
going back to the Alameda fight for a second, it was like, one of the amazing things too is after that knee, John McCarthy stops the fight right away.
Right.
Doesn't even look, and Brad Pickett got up. Like, that's the amazing thing, because I think we all thought like, let's just hope he doesn't die. He's obviously going to be in the hospital a long time. But like, as soon as like boom, John McCarthy's like, no,
Yeah.
no more. And like, and he got up, but there was not a single person arguing with that.
No,
like,
no,
no,
God,
obviously,
no.
no, not
God,
that.
no. He's a tough guy. And there was some fun stuff on the prelims. There were a couple of good wins, and we have post-fight interviews with 5 of the people that were on the prelims. Up to Matt Brown there. So if you guys want to, Cody Garbrandt, we talked to him. We talked to Alex Garcia. That was Saturday night. To be honest with you, we did a lot of interviews this week.
Now, Karyn, I do have one problem.
What's that?
I poured myself a half-hour martini, forgetting you're doing an hour show.
Do you need a
So
do you
is
need
there
a
a way we can
refreshment
take
break?
a slight pause so I can
Go ahead, folks. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll throw in a little sound bite here of Matt Brown after the fight at the press conference while Pete refreshes his beverage.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
I actually had a question for you, Matt. We were talking in a pre-fight interview about your idea of the demotion to the prelims and resetting your mind and resetting your career. Was this the fight tonight that you wanted to have? Do you feel that this was the performance that really will deliver you, back on track to the title shots?
Well, I do believe it was somewhat of a demotion that was deserved. Obviously, I lost 2 in a row, so I deserved it. But yeah, to me personally, this was sort of a coming out fight. This was me getting back on track. This was me getting back to where I almost got to before. Just how the UFC rebranded, I rebranded myself tonight. I rededicated myself to the sport, and I am coming for that title 100%. I'm going to get that title or I'm going to die trying.
And what were your thoughts on the Rory-Robbie fight?
Beautiful fight and amazing fight. Both those guys are fucking warriors from beginning to end, and I love it, and those are the kind of guys I want to fight. I fought Robbie once. I think me and Hendricks are the only guys to go the distance with Robbie, so I know that I can be at that level. I know that I can win that fight, and I know that a lot of people want to see that fight because that's going to be another war. And me and Robbie, every single time we get in the cage, it's going to be a war. So I absolutely 100% want it, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it.
Okay, folks, so Pete has refreshed his beverage. Dude.
Really professional act there.
Nice tan, by the way. I didn't get to mention that. Or sunburn. You're looking a little Close Encounters. Is it redder on one side?
I don't know. Is it?
Maybe not.
I'm feeling a little red.
Are you?
I made the stupid decision. I'm like, well, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon. I think the strongest portion of the sun is gone. I don't think I need sunscreen.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, that's sort of the mistake of every dumb, pale white guy in the sun.
And yeah, well, were you like at the pool? What were you doing, laying out?
No, at the beach, just
2:30, and you thought you didn't need sunscreen.
I'm like, well, the sun's strongest from 10 until 2. I haven't really been in the sun for about 3.5 years, so why don't I go in and not protect it?
You got lobster children right now, don't you?
No, my kids are good because I actually put the sunscreen on my kids. But then I'm like with a guy friend of mine, and we're both too homophobic to put it on each other's backs. So then you're like, well, my back's definitely getting burned because I don't have confidence in my own manhood to ask another man to put it on me.
So
I might as well just get the whole thing.
Are happy to rub lotion on each other. That's something you're missing out on.
We're kind of happy. Oh, by the way, 9 Octagon girls.
9. Goldie was freaking out about it.
Yeah, it was like Santa could have used them on his sleigh. There were so many Octagon girls.
Did you have a favorite?
Ariani's, I think.
Is still your main girl?
She's.
Although you did get some love from your favorite champion.
That was
Wade
cool.
got you a shout out from Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Folks, check this out. Let's listen to this for a second.
Hi Pete, it's Joanna, UFC strawweight champion. All the best for you.
Thank you.
So, dude, you owe Wade big time. I wasn't even in the room, and he got that for you. That's your boy right now. You need to hook him up. You love that, right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
How many times have you played over?
So many times now that that when she talks, it's
That's great. It's great. You need to put it as like
It was funny because I showed it to somebody who doesn't watch the UFC, and I'm like, no, you gotta understand, like, this girl's a beast.
Yeah.
And they just see some like skinny woman, and I'm like, no, you don't understand this, guy, girl, like this is a, this is a beast. So
That's funny. Well, good for you, Pete. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Speaking of beasts, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson had some beast kicks at the Ultimate Fighter finale, Ultimate Fighter 21 finale, and he took out Jake Ellenberger. He landed 2 perfect ones, just within a short period of time. And the first one you saw Jake just go like, and you just started, it was like, oh God, I'm watching this. I'm like, dude, do not stand there. Do not. Oh, you stood there. You know what I mean? It was, the thing is they're so perfect. Wonderboy has all this experience. He was undefeated as a kickboxer and, just grew up doing that. He's got that just amazing karate and great kickboxing. And he's so long. The legs are so much longer and he understands range. And those were just perfect. And that one I was just sitting like, 3 seats away from it, and you heard that land, and then it was just like 1,000, bam, like, oh God, those were.
Well, and then he gets up and gets hit with another one.
I know.
I mean, you can go numerous fight cards without seeing that, and the fact that you see like 2 of them within like 25 seconds.
That was tough. Actually, because the thing about this Wonder Boy is, you can't stand there in front of him, and he even said it in the octagon after. And I grabbed a post-fight interview with him after the press conference as well, which you guys can see if you want to watch the whole thing. But we were talking about that, and he even told people, he's like, well, he stood right in front of me. Like, he basically told everybody how to not lose to him. Do you know what I mean? You got to make sure you move and everything. It was tough. We hung out with Jake afterwards, and he did have to go to the hospital and get checked out, but he was fine. Had a dinner with his team and everything, and we caught up with him later last night. And he's okay. Obviously, he's disappointed, but and he made no excuses. But he has had some things going on in his life, like his baby boy was born Monday or Tuesday or something like this. So he had a lot going on personally. Like I said, he didn't make any excuses. He didn't articulate any of this as any kind of excuse or anything. I just know that there's some other things that have been going on in his life.
But I don't when you have that style matchup though. I don't see how he can't come out on the short end of the stick. I mean, you're going against a guy who can use his long legs like fists, and he can use his fists like fists, and you've just got it's basically 4 weapons against 2.
Well,
right?
Jake's a great wrestler though. So the option could have been to try to take him down. The option also, yes, to get closer. So because Jake has power. Do you know what I mean? And there was a point where he wobbled Stephen, and Stephen talks about that after. He's like, oh no, that dude's got some, anvils too. So it's not that he doesn't have the power. It's just that, yes, he's got to make sure he gets that range and circles the right way and stays out of kicking distance. It's tough because Jake had a bad streak of losses, and then he beat Koscheck, and now this is another little bump in the road. But Wonder Boy, he's been training with Weidman since Weidman fought Anderson. Because I asked, did he bring you in for Lyoto? He said, actually, no, he brought me in earlier than that for Weidman. So now, Wonder Boy's already great at his own thing. He's getting the compliment of the wrestling with Weidman and, Sarah Longo team. We're also, good with hands. So Wonder Boy is turning up to be something great. And he's not even, before this fight, he wasn't even ranked in the top 15. So, welterweight is kind of tough. No, that's what I'm saying. The dude that good is not even in the top 15.
I'm excited about this guy.
Yeah. He's a nice kid. I think he might be too nice. And I talked to him about that afterwards. Like, he has, zero edge. Do you know what I mean? He's like a clean-cut, nice-looking kid who's polite and friendly,
and isn't his father his coach?
Yeah.
And afterwards, my Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not sure I can call him Wonder Boy as easily as you can. Wonder Boy.
He does rock the
call you Steven. Is that all right?
The Tenacious D Wonder Boy intro.
At my age, you don't want to be calling anybody Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy.
The authorities come, actually.
No.
No, I'm really excited for this guy. I mean, that's the first time I'd ever seen him fight. Afterwards, I was like, you're not in the top 50? Okay, this is... I mean, because, Jake was 8?
Jake was 9, I think, going in before this fight.
Okay.
Yeah. So exciting for him. Right before the main event, Kamaru Usman won the Ultimate Fighter 21 for the Black Zillions. It was an interesting season. The guys from the Black Zillions took an early lead. Then American Top Team got some. Then Black Zillions. Then H.E.A.T finished it off and won it. So, in terms of the points, American Top Team had it. But then going into this fight, it really was also, they were able to pick the one representative and try to get the big money and the trophy. And the winner also gets a Harley Davidson. And so Kamaru, a lot of people going into this fight thought that H.E.A.T was one-dimensional and that he was just a puncher looking for the KO, kind of a headhunter. And Kamaru has such great wrestling, but just seemed a little more well-rounded. That was a great fight for him. I thought he looked really good. And, H.E.A.T was really disappointed afterwards. And Kamaru wasn't the guy that most of his coaches wanted to be the last fight. A lot of his guys, everybody else had picked Vicente Luque because he and H.E.A.T had such a good close fight before. So Glenn Robinson called an audible and went with Kamaru, and turned out to be the right thing. He looked good.
Okay, first of all, I got a little problem with the Ultimate Fighter.
Okay.
Because leading up, so I taped it all season, so I watched like 5 hours of Ultimate Fighter. And so I'm following oh my God, America's Top Team has come back from being down and they've won it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. There's now another fight. Which is worth more points than anything. And you get more money than anything. So effectively, those last 12 weeks of your life that you invested in the show were a waste. Because it all comes down to this one last fight anyway.
But the thing about it is,
we're gonna pull another thing out of our hat.
But any time you're on the Ultimate Fighter, it's just that this time it was teams and they did the point thing. But any time you're on the Ultimate Fighter, it always just comes down to one dude winning everything.
Right, but it comes down to they fight.
Yeah, but you had to have fought twice at least on the show to get into the finals.
All I know is I'm watching this thing and the Black Zillions are up, and then I'm told that the 12th fight, this is it.
Right.
They're all even. America's Top Team comes back, and then America's Top Team wins it with H.E.A.T, who's fought now 3 times. I mean, you might as well. And then, and then it's like, and now join us on Sunday for the finale. You just build that as the finale. What the hell is that? So,
all right. Well, maybe they'll tweak that when they have Conor and Uriah doing the.
I think they should keep it going. I think after that fight, they should have said, "Well, he's won 300,000, but join us next Tuesday for the final finale." Final.
Just keep it going. The other guy that looked great though was Michael Graves. Now on the show. He lost his fight early, and then everybody was saying he had a drinking problem on the show, and then he comes back and beats Jason Jackson with that.
In a great fight, with a great comeback.
Yeah. So, but he looked way better last night at the Ultimate Fighter finale. He just powerful, ready, committed to everything. To me, he just looked like a whole different guy. Just really, really impressed with him. Vicente didn't have much of an answer for 2 rounds. 3rd round, Vicente got kind of close with a choke, but it wasn't enough. So, Michael won it 2-1. But afterwards, I talked to him at the post-fight press conference, and, he even admitted, he's like, look, I think of myself now as a 1-0 fighter. I think, I'm reborn here. I'm focused now. It's the big leagues. And so you guys should listen to that, the post-fight press conference, because I also busted on him for drinking a Bud Light at the weigh-ins. And he was like,
after the weigh-ins.
Dude, he gets off the scale and starts chugging like a 16-ounce blue Bud Light can. So I asked him if it was a real beer. And Josh Salmon's sitting next to me. He's like, you don't have to answer that. I was like, yeah, you do have to answer that, Michael. You know what I mean? And so it's actually kind of a funny exchange that we had there at the press conference. So maybe the drinking is his angle. He's the funny drunk fighter. I don't know. And he did.
You know what? We need a funny drunk fighter.
He did a ridiculous thing with me in the pre-fight interview. Wait, I'll just show you a B-roll here. We could get of this. You'll have to look at it. I don't even know if it was an interview. I don't know if he was drunk then. I don't know what happened. But Michael Graves, entertaining guy, and good for him.
So the drunk. Okay, so the drunk thing is real.
Oh, I think that's real.
Because I've written on a few shows, and we know enough reality producers that that they're drumming. Because when I was watching it, I saw that drunk thing But I also know how reality show producers work, and they need stories. So, like, you see one guy with a drink, and all of a sudden it's like, Pete, come
No,
in
he
and
admitted that he had a lot going on in his personal life and everything before the show, but then the timing of the show, when it came up, he kind of couldn't say no, even though he wasn't really in the right mental place for it, which I think led to the imbibing. Or he's looking for a Bud Light contract. He knows Cowboy does pretty well with it. I don't know, but good fight for him. Also on the card, Black Zillion, Cesar Mutanchi failed to Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal got in a little bit of trouble for a minute there on the ground and stuff, and then he came back. He's so dangerous. And then just, done. Fight's over.
So what's the answer? Who's the better gym, American Top Team or Black Zillion?
Well, I don't know. Right now, American Top Team has Robbie Lawler, so they've got a champion there. So you could argue that. They have some great fighters. Black Zillions have great fighters too. Michael Johnson is doing really well right now. I mean, listen, Rumble was as close as you can be to the title. He still wrecks a lot of guys. I don't know, the storyline with that show is so interesting because Black Zillions haven't been around as long as ATT. So ATT guys will sit there, well, we've got better, more this and more champs and more this. It's like, well, yeah, but you were there longer. So it's hard to make an actual comparison. They both have good teams. I mean, American Top Team, they're doing a lot of things right these days. But obviously, Kamaru, and he's a bit of Rashad's sort of, I wouldn't call him his protege, but Rashad has really taken him under his wing and looked after Kamaru, and so it was funny watching them because Spong was over in the corner and Jorge Santiago, and on the other side though by the cage there was Michael Johnson and Rumble and Rashad. And I think Doreen was over there, but they had a bet going with Tyron Woodley across. They're texting each other and going on Twitter back and forth about who had to do push-ups immediately after the fight was over, talking smack. It's funny, just like right around the side of the octagon. But I don't think Tyron did his push-ups.
So who won the Ultimate Fighter? The
Black Zillions.
That's God.
Black Zillions won. Black Zillions won.
All right. Now, I want to do jazzercise. Which gym should I join?
You want to prance. What is that old lady in the her prancer-size video? That lady? Anyway.
Is it really a prancer?
There is. There's some old lady and she prances.
Like jazzercise wasn't.
Yeah, it's funny. I can't
wasn't
believe
feminine enough. So I did think it was pretty cruel when they made Glenn and Dan race against each other, and it was like, dude, come on! It's pretty obvious. Who's in better shape?
Yeah,
you don't have to make him. And listen, I give Glenn credit for trying his all, but it was like that was just cruel.
It was cruel. It was cruel. We ran into Jason Jackson though. We were talking to him about it. Like, he's Jamaican, so he just did his Usain Bolt and ran. That dude can run. He's actually like a legit runner. But also on the card, I thought was great, Michelle Watterson's debut fight. I don't know. You saw that one, right, where she was fighting Angela Magana?
Karen, I do have a life. I didn't go that far.
Really? But it's a chick fight, Pete.
I did miss that one.
You missed it. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's worth watching. At one point, Karate Hottie was in a little bit of trouble, and there was an armbar that she could have almost succumbed to, and looked like her arm was really getting hyperextended there, and it looked like Angela Magana was going to get the win there. That was early on, but Michelle hung in there and showed a lot of gumption and was able to turn it around. And by the end of the second round, when they showed Magana walk back to her side, she looked pretty defeated. She didn't look too happy. So Michelle was able to finish her in the third round. It was a great debut for her, and she's coming up in weight. She's a former Invicta champion who usually fought at 105, so she's coming up to fight bigger women. And I thought just looked great. And she's such a friendly girl, and really, marketable and talented. So I think she's a nice addition to the
that's Karate Hottie.
That's Karate Hottie, yeah, Michelle Watterson.
Okay, well, listen, this one I'm going to actually have to... I'm going to have to blame this one on my parents. Okay?
Oh, why?
Because I recorded the fights.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to watch their Fox News at 6:30 or something. And so I had the fight scheduled to record. And if you've ever seen older people with 3 remote controls, it's all of a sudden this. And then I come down this morning, my fucking shit didn't record.
Uh-oh.
But luckily, just by chance, it was replaying, but it was just the last 2 fights.
Oh, okay.
Which
That's
was
too bad.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed I missed Karate Hottie.
It was a good fight. It was a good fight.
I just like that
her.
name. I just want to say that one more time. Karate Hottie.
Karate Hottie. So yeah, it was a good fight for her. So Sunday was funny. After UFC 189 was just so insane and so crazy. And to go back there like 12 hours later, sit in the media room again. It was like, oh my God. But there was some good stuff on, the Ultimate Fighter finale it was cool. After doing Tough Talk with these guys, it was nice to see some of them succeed, and even in defeat, Dana said, well, actually it was Schaller after, said that the 4 guys who fought last night on that card will likely, for sure, Kamaru was signed to the UFC, but he said, I think the other 3 guys are also going to get another fight to prove themselves. So that was really cool. So in other things that we did during Fight Week, there was a Hall of Fame ceremony. Bas Rutten was inducted, and Jeff Blotnick, who helped really come up with the rules and regulations for MMA early on, and Frank Trigg and Matt Hughes were inducted for their fight at UFC 52. BJ Penn was inducted. It was cool. So we went over to this ceremony. That was on Saturday afternoon before the TUF weigh-ins, and Bas was great. Really. Kind of didn't expect it, and because he wasn't really in the UFC, didn't have that long and have that many fights, but he's going in as a pioneer, and he brought something up that was interesting. He said, the pioneer wing will be a finite group of people. After a while, that door is going to close, and so he was really proud of that, to be in that wing, and to be somebody that so that's there. And Matt Hughes is now a 2-time inductee, because he's already in there as a pioneer, and now he's in for Fight. They opened it up, and now they have Fight. So Blatnick was for a contributor, and BJ Penn is a modern era fighter. So we grabbed some interviews afterwards with BJ Penn and Matt Hughes, so you guys can definitely look at that. So that was fun. BJ said he said it was like winning the belt again. Like, everybody was so into him, and like he's getting so much love, and he was so happy, and he was in a great mood. It's so nice to see BJ Penn in a good mood and just happy. So people should definitely check those interviews out. Is
there an actual physical location?
They're building one. Yeah, they're going to have one.
Nice. And where's it going to be?
In Vegas.
Where?
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah. They're building.
And is there going to be a podcast Hall of Fame?
Yeah. They're building a kind of like a whole UFC campus type thing, whatever. They're
That's cool.
Yeah. So that was fun. People should definitely check those interviews out. We did a ton of stuff. They had an Ultimate Media Day on Thursday. So they had people from UFC 189 and the Ultimate Fighter finale. Oh no, or was it? I don't even remember. We had a press conference first with some people. Then they had Ultimate Fighter or UFC 189 people. Then they brought in some other fighters who were just had other things going on. So we grabbed an interview with CM Punk. People definitely want to check this one out. This is the hilarious thing in the title of the interview. I put, CM Punk talks about training with Rufus Ford, Jesus in the Octagon, and something else. So without even seeing the video, some people comment, "Oh, for Christ's sake, another Bible thumper, and another GD Bible thumper up in here talking crap." And then somebody underneath comments are like, "You have no idea how hilarious this is," because CM Punk is an atheist, and so the whole thing is like hilarious that somebody thinks that he's out there. So anyway, I talked to him about a bunch of stuff. And then I asked him about religion in the Octagon. He was like, "Oh my God, only you could get away with asking me this question. It's kind of heavy." But we talked about the no for gay Jesus thing. Remember, we had the picture of him as gay Jesus. So there's a lot to say about that. It's definitely an interview worth checking out. He's a cool guy, and he really is taking it seriously. He's thinking maybe by the end of the year he'll be ready to fight. But he doesn't want to rush it. He wants to make sure he's really learning. He's training alongside Pettis and those guys. So we also talked to Anthony Pettis about, getting back on track, and the night with Rafael dos Anjos that didn't go his way. So we had that. We had Stipe Miocic. We also talked to, there's more. Pete, it was a long day. It was a really...
I saw an interview that you did with Demetrius.
Yeah.
He's quite an entertaining guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like really well spoken too.
Yeah.
I was like completely impressed by his. I mean, he should go into broadcasting afterwards. He was really crisply well spoken and very entertaining and a good sense of humor.
Yeah, he's great. What were you just scrolling through our videos? He wasn't. I mean,
I pretty much stalk you guys.
That's good.
When you're out of town.
Doing pool parties and stuff. We didn't get to talk to him, but we have a bunch of stuff. Literally, I think we put up something like 47 new clips just over the course of Fight Week. And I think we still have some other things that we might be able to put out. But we've got, I asked Conor about why, he wanted Sinead to walk out with him.
Question, by the way, and I appreciated your little. So why'd you want Sinead? You too wasn't
Unavailable.
And like no one kind of got that little thing.
Right.
But I appreciate it. And that was like the first question of the night or something.
Well, that was at the pre-fight press conference.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at the pre-fight press conference on Thursday. Funny thing is, though, U2 was playing in Boston, I guess, on Friday or Saturday, and they if you look on their Twitter feed, they did this whole thing where they put up a picture of Conor, like on their stage or whatever, and had something in Gaelic, and there's the picture of the four of them all standing there, and like they're wishing him good luck. I mean, it's like that's insane. That's insane when you're getting a shout out from U2, like, "What's up, my boy? Good luck."
Conor did it like, listen, anyone out there, if you have to market anything, start with a niche market, get control of that, and then use that as your base to go on. And that's what Conor did. He said, okay, I'm from Ireland, small island. I'm going to get Ireland, and I'm going to branch out.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything you want to market. Start with niche and branch out. And
well, it's great. And he afterwards was talking about hearing Sinead and just, how incredible that was for him. It was cool. Like, I've seen Sinead in concert. I have all her records. I actually really like her. And so even I was kind of tripping out a little bit. I was like, oh my, that's cool. So the story is that Dana called her. They when they figured out this was going to happen, and he called her and he said, oh, hi, hi, Sinead, it's D-Dub. And it's Dana. And he said, have you ever heard of the UFC? And she said, no, but I've heard of Conor McGregor. That's the story that he told.
Now, who was it who was doing Chad?
Aaron Lewis.
I mean, he was good.
Yeah.
But it was so much like the answer of like American Cowboy.
Right. And he was in another.
And to us with the Irish person, we got American Cowboy for you.
Aaron Ross, I think it was. I'm sorry, I wasn't that well versed in him. The bummer, though, is had Jose been able to fight, they were working on getting Rihanna for his walkout.
Now, here's the...
I would have been all over that. That would have been great.
Here's the thing is what I liked about... I mean, because I gave Bellator grief for their friggin' walkout.
Yeah, you did.
And the UFC did put on a little bit of a show, but it was like a Broadway show versus like a high school play. I mean... That Sinead thing was great. I mean, that thing, and it fit Conor perfectly, and it would like came out to like, I'm going to war and I might die today.
It was great.
Like, I was like,
it was great.
And then listen, the guy who did Chad Mendes.
Yeah, Chad, no, he was good. I apologize. I'm not. I think it's Aaron Ross or Aaron Lewis. I apologize.
All right.
It's not in my repertoire. Sorry.
But
I like Hank Williams. I mean, like, it's not that I don't.
But it was really well done. I thought. Well. Like.
And Chad was even saying too that he was just like, he's walking out and he looks up. He's like, yeah, that is cool, man. He's like, that is just cool.
I mean, if you're gonna go a little bit over the top, the UFC showed how to do it right, and Bellator still showed.
No, it's fun. And then afterwards in the poster, like Chad was all smiles, for people who think he's disappointed. I'm sure he's disappointed in this and that, but he was just like, look, I had the time of my life. He's like, these last 11 days have been amazing. He's like, I got to be in the biggest show ever. He and Conor were really cool with each other after in terms of showing respect. And he's like, listen, it's all good. I am not mad at anything that's happened in the last 2 weeks here. So he took it really well, and obviously,
Now, I'll tell you, I became a huge Chad Mendes.
He's good. He's really good.
And it was nice. But, kind of gave him a little grief, like mini Mendes.
Yeah, he did.
But Chad realized that was to promote the fight. And and afterwards, you really got the feeling that there was no hard feelings.
Oh, for sure.
And he was proud of the way he fought on short notice, and he should be proud of the way he fought. And I'm a huge fan now.
For sure. I've been a supporter of Chad for a while. I think he's really talented and he's extremely likable, very, very good fighter. Right after they fought, Conor was in his ear for a little bit talking to him. I think, they really had a little moment there together. So it was great. This is what's cool too. That this was like the like extra amazing
And I'm sure you got one of those from me.
Well, they don't. You have to like sign out for it and stuff. They're not just giving these out, because I don't know how much they sold them for in the arena. Maybe somebody could say, but they were pretty pricey. But it's nice. They really know they did a lot of nice things. The funny thing is the Irish fans are so cool. I met so many nice people over the course of the week. The cops did have to come to MGM a little bit to break some of them up because they were chanting and singing. But all in all, and yes, there were face down drunks here and there. But all in all, I had a great week out there. I met a lot of fans, took a lot of pictures with people, and you know, people like our podcast. There were some people, I forget where the guy was from. Was it the guy from Finland or somebody was just like, yeah, it was your podcast. It's really good, and loved it. And
I just wish we didn't have to travel so far to find a fan. There's a guy in Finland. Listen, what you do is you first have to take the plane into Iceland,
right?
And a boat across.
Yeah.
And you can find a guy. I've heard of them. You have to talk to an Indian tribe.
Yeah.
And they will connect you.
And they'll connect you. But yeah, no, I met a lot of really, really cool people. So thank you for that. And
so,
what?
Let me ask you this. Did anyone offend the reach around? Did anyone go a little too low?
No. People were very respectful. There was like one that was it was almost going too low, but it wasn't. And I think it was like an older guy. And I was like, let him get he's 70.
Interesting, because since putting it out there, no one's touched my lower back all week. I was, of course, just in Koreatown trying to rub up against people, but on the bus.
I'm sorry.
Sir.
And even with your new look,
back,
even with your new fresh and clean, so fresh, so clean.
You know, you would think I would get more lower back action with this, but no.
No.
Couple other questions. Give me your starstruck moment of the 5 days where you met someone where you were like, oh, that's totally cool that I just met this person.
Me?
Yeah. Come on. You must have met somebody.
No, I mean, because all the fighters that were there that I interviewed, I already knew pretty much. I guess it was the first time I'd interviewed Michelle Waters, since it was nice to finally meet her.
So you didn't get to see Schwarzenegger out there? Oh, you didn't have any starstruck?
No, but I've already interviewed Schwarzenegger years ago, and he's old news.
Okay, listen.
No,
You're
I did.
a good interviewer, but you sort of suck as an interviewee. Okay, I'm going to ask the question again.
The answer.
Let's offer a little color, like to those of us who didn't go there this weekend.
There were a lot of people. I already know Anthony Kiedis. I already know. Well, I don't know Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I've interviewed him before. I would have liked to meet Tyson. If I met Tyson, I would have been psyched. I haven't met Tyson.
All right.
So that one would have been exciting for me. I would have liked.
All right.
That.
Well then.
And I would have loved to meet Sinead. I actually asked the PR people about that, if she was going to be available at all, but she wasn't. But that I would have loved. I would have geeked out on that, for sure. Any more questions?
Vilma, Randomana. You didn't get to meet him.
I did not. I did not.
I didn't mean to. I actually have nothing against the guy. I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No. So it was cool though. It was fun.
All right.
But it's exhausting. And so we got to wrap this up, because I actually have to do the weigh-in show tomorrow for UFC San Diego. That's the other person we talked to. That's what I couldn't remember. Frank Mir. So if you're listening to this and you want to hear Frank's thoughts on some stuff, I also have an interview with him. So he's fighting Todd Duffy in the main event tomorrow in San Diego, which is going to be great. There was supposed to be an Ally Quinta fight with Mendes, but Gilbert got suspended. So he's not doing that. But the El Kukui, the Tony Ferguson, Josh Thompson fight is going to be great, because both those guys know how to let their hands go. So I think that's going to be a really fun fight. So I got to go back at work tomorrow. And then Friday and Saturday I'm doing the UFC Scotland stuff with good friend Michael Bisping fighting. So it's always fun to watch Michael fight. He's fun to watch. So that's what I'm doing. I got a busy week.
I have a man crush.
On Michael?
On him, yeah.
Yeah, he and when he comes to work in his suits, I was like, yeah, it's a worthy recipient of your love.
No, that'd be a girl crush that you just. That would be a girl.
You said you had a man crush on him. Wouldn't that be?
Well, I have a man crush on him. I don't look at him in his suit and go, yeah, that's no, it's a man.
He cleans up well.
He's a total man. So yes. He's a tough guy who's got a good sense of humor, and he seems like a good dad. Yeah. So the guy, I'm like, yeah, that'd be a guy who I could maybe. Yeah. I'd want to strive to be like.
Yes, and he's cool. Like, he's fun to go out and have a couple of
pathetic burn drinker that I am.
No, I'm saying fun to go have a couple cocktails with.
Oh,
For
no.
sure.
He looks
For sure.
fun. He looks
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So how long are you? What? We already talked about. Yeah. What are you? So now you like you said, you're in Martha's Vineyard, and then you're going to Maine.
I'm in Martha's Vineyard until Saturday, and then I go, well, Martha's Vineyard was white, but now I need to head up to Whiteville, and I go to Maine. And I go to Maine, and then I'm in Maine for a week.
You know, Dana actually has a house in Maine. Maybe you'll bump into him.
You know, it's a pretty small state, like 4 or 5 people, so I probably will.
Tim Boach,
Yeah.
you for a week, Dana.
Now where's Dana's house?
I don't know exactly, but I know he's had a house up there for a long time. He does often go there for vacations and stuff during the summer and things. So
Right.
you never know.
I'd be surprised if I ran into him, but
So would I. I heard he has a, what do they call it, restraining order? Is that?
What, against me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kidding.
I'm such a.
But when are you back to LA?
I'm back. I come back on the 25th on Saturday. So
Okay.
Saturday the 25th. So
Okay, that's when TJ Dillashaw is fighting Renan Barão.
okay, so I actually might have to ask you guys to record those
Fox.
fights. It's on Fox. Okay, so I can get my wife to record
Yeah,
it.
I'll be in Chicago. I'll be there at that fight. So I can't do your bidding here in LA.
You know. I'll see you in Koreatown.
All right, Pete. Well, listen, this has been fun. Where can people find you on social media? Because I know, you're blowing it up.
I tweeted twice the other night.
Really?
Yes, and somebody actually.
I thought only young men could tweet twice in one night, Pete.
Well, Karyn, I will say that my second tweet wasn't nearly as good as my first. Karyn, my second tweet was a little disappointing, if I'm to say anything. I sort of, after about 20 minutes, we both decided to cut it halfway off. So, and the first one was a little quick. If you want to be. So. Oh. No, somebody actually, and I wish I could, and I'll have to give him a shout out the next show, but somebody sort of like retweeted going, holy shit, a Pete Cummins tweet?
Nice.
Is that true?
Nice. Nice.
But yes, I tweeted twice. And no, this is what I tweeted about. First of all, I think these Reebok uniforms suck. And I'm not talking about the design of the uniform.
Right.
Listen, the design of the uniform is great. But here you have the biggest fight of the year, and you have the biggest fight of the year for one reason.
Right.
Conor McGregor is such an individual. So you're going to use that night to introduce conformity, like i.e. uniforms for everyone? I mean, dude, Saturday night was so big because Conor McGregor stood out among everybody. And now you're going to make everyone wear a friggin' uniform. It doesn't make sense.
See, I disagree with you. I think the repackaging of
Okay, well, you're off then.
And I was trying to wrap the show up, but you're all chatty and drunk. So I think it was actually the perfect time to do it. They launched new graphics and all that stuff. I think that's the right time because you're going to have all these brand new eyeballs. Because all of a sudden, there's people who have never seen it before, and they're like, I hear this Conor guy is great. Now they're looking at something that looks like a quote-unquote more professional organization as opposed to like this guy with the skull and this guy with the, da-da-da-da-da. I think that it was actually a better time to do it because we talked to a lot of the fighters after about this. If you watch some of our post-fight interviews, we talked to a lot of them about the Reebok gear. And some of them are like, yeah, I took a pay cut and da-da-da. I would say conservatively, 80% of them were like, no, I like it. It's cool. They liked what they were wearing. I think, yes, the individuality of the shirts could be an issue. It would be nice if they could personalize that a little bit more. I will agree with you on that. But I thought, yes, they look some of them like a hip-hop dance troupe a little bit. But, like, those white warm-ups, I personally thought were kind of cool.
Okay.
But a lot of the fighters did say they liked their gear. There were some that were like, nah, I'm not into it. But I would say more of them liked it than didn't.
All right, let me clarify.
Yeah.
If you're going to go with these uniforms, yes, this was the night to introduce it.
Right.
The biggest night, fight week, this was the time. However, the concept of the uniforms and the fact that your biggest night is because somebody is such an individual and so unique.
I hear you.
There's a conflict there. So Yes, if you're going to have the uniforms, this was the night to do
Yeah.
it. But should you have the uniforms? Dude, imagine Mike Tyson without his black shorts and his black shoes and no socks. But no, we're going to make Mike wear, Reebok stuff like everybody else. Imagine Ali without the white trunks.
I get
with
it.
black-
Those are iconic images. But I guess the flip side of that is imagine a football team with 11 dudes wearing different stuff.
But this isn't a football
I
team. They're
know.
tennis players. They're golfers.
No, I get it.
Individuals.
Well, and listen, this is phase one. I mean, they forgot. Apparently, I guess they forgot to make rash guards for the women. So Karate fought in just a black one because Reebok didn't have the right gear. And I guess for the little shorts, they only had them in white. Not good. So there's
or good,
depending on how you look at it. I think there's still a lot to be figured out. And I think it would be awesome if there was ways to make the uniform more customizable. Do you know what I mean? I agree. I think it would be cool to be able to show some individuality within the context of the uniform.
All right. So you like the uniform?
Like I said, just on a purely aesthetic level of seeing the people walk out in the white warm-up suits, I liked them.
So you don't like the man wipes on somebody's ass or
Dude
the
wipes? Yeah. No, like I said, it reminded me of like a breakdancing troupe or something, but I don't think that's bad.
But what's going to happen to Dynamic Fastener?
I don't know.
Where am I going to get my
maybe they should sponsor
fastening things?
This podcast. All right, look, Pete, I got a script to go over.
Can we get one shot of Wade in here?
Oh yeah, come on. He's over here. He just fell asleep on the couch. Now he's
fell asleep.
Waking up again. We've had a long week.
And if we're not even interested in our own podcast,
we've had a long.
Hey, thank you for the shout out you got.
Hey, absolutely.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I said it was for you, I had to kind of push her away. All right, that's enough. No.
No.
Anything for the old guy.
I mean, her infatuation with me is getting a little ridiculous, but
yeah.
I entertain it, Wade.
Yeah. Nice. All right, Pete. Well, enjoy the rest of your vacation. Folks, you can find all the things that we shot out there in Vegas at www.mma.media. That's an easy place to find the entire playlist, but you can also find them on YouTube under Karyn Bryant. Most of the things are there. Some of the things are on the MMA Heat channel, but MMA.media is where you'll find all the stuff. And like I said, tons of interviews, weigh-ins, press conferences, all kinds of stuff. So please do check it out, and we can live with this stuff for a while. And like I said, the CM Punk interview, the Pettis interview, the Stipe Miocic, some of these things are a little, you don't have to, the guys, BJ and Matt Hughes, I know a lot of some of these things might have gotten lost over the course of the weekend. So I do encourage people to check them out. On Twitter, you can find me at Karyn Bryant, KarynBryant. On Instagram, KB Heat. Of course, you can look for the MMA Heat page on Facebook. All right, Pete, well, it's been fun. You look good.
Thank you. I had to pull that one out of you. Would that take an hour and 15 minutes? All right, we're out of here.
I figured by this point, most people wouldn't have heard it.
First of all, if you are still watching, might we suggest you get a life? I want you to go to the bookstore.
Pete.
And I want you to purchase something by Deepak Chopra on happiness and fulfillment. No.
Turn the lights off.
If you are watching, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.